Good morning. We're really pleased to be here. So in my role as VP of Rooms Operations, I have housekeeping, laundry, and front office. And so COVID, when it hit, really was interesting for us because we had to very, very quickly look at how were we cleaning rooms, how were we disinfecting and laundry, how were we creating an experience for our guests, although there were very few guests at the time that this thing happened. How are we providing them as much touchless technology as possible? So the brands had always had mobile check-in, mobile key, but this thing really sped that up. They got very, very focused on making sure that all of the hotels had mobile key, they were really focused on key performance indicators of how quickly are we responding to text requests, how many mobile keys are we sending out in a day, how many people are receiving a mobile check-in notification, so they became laser focused on that. The other thing is they created technology in the rooms that allowed people to not have to touch the remote control because that was a big concern. So for instance, if you stay here and you turn on the TV, there is a QR code that pops up on the TV and it invites you to use your phone as your remote control. And it's a great technology. It works really, really well. So it's very simple there. We have looked at other contactless technology such as delivery robots and robotic vacuums. We're actually using a robotic vacuum in our JW in Indianapolis. But what we found, and it was in the questions and in the notes that she sent, that the ability for us to use the technology is directly reflected on how easy it is to use. And so people still want that human interaction. They still want to know that when there's a problem, they can have somebody to help them. If they walk in to the hotel and there's no line and they see a person, they're still going to prefer dealing with that person rather than the mobile app because it's something they're familiar with. They're familiar with that. Now, if they walk into a hotel and there's a huge line and they know that there's an option to use their touchless and to use their app, they're going to do it. So what you really find, in my opinion, in this thing is that people go back to what they're familiar with. And there's a certain amount of training that we not only have to do on the back end with our employees on how to use it and what's important, but there's also a huge amount of training that happens from a customer standpoint. And so when you're talking about technology in the industry, as we continue to implement processes and continue to look at how do we improve the contactless technology, we have to look at what that change looks like. The other thing that I would say is that the use of technology in the industry is as much driven by the lack of employees as anything. We've got to find ways to do things with fewer people because we have fewer people. So a lot of those things are around how do you do a check-in for 1,000 people at our JW in Indianapolis and get 1,000 people using their mobile app to check in. That is a huge undertaking. So a lot of times the implementation, the adaptation of that technology, we cannot underestimate as operators how much change there is in that, not only for our own people, but also for the customer. So I think you're going to continue to see things like robotic vacuums. You're going to continue to see mobile check-in, mobile key become more and more important, but we can never underestimate the value and the importance of that human touch and that human availability that when they need something, customer needs something, they can reach a person. There's nothing more frustrating than not being able to reach a person. I could talk about this for hours because we've looked at so many. I looked at Alexa. There's a company that called Valara that does an Alexa type app that you can put into the guest rooms. To be honest with you, I decided not to put it in. I decided not to put it in because I think it's one more thing for a customer to learn. It does not interact with our computer system, so somebody has to take that information and then put it in to be dispatched out. But the other thing is I was concerned about personal information. I was concerned that customers would be concerned that we were listening to them, and then we were using that information to market to them. We didn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all different kinds of ways that this is coming into contact or coming into use. We will continue to use it, but we have to understand there's an implementation, there's a change management there. So I will be quiet. I'm
Very
sorry.
good. Thank you.